nursery rhyme about marching 10,000 men up and down the hill. He was King George III's second son. The last Duke of York was the Queen's father. As Duke and Duchess of York, he and the Queen Mother were idyllically happy bringing up their children, Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret, away from the limelight. That was until the abdication of King Edward VIII brought the Duke unexpectedly to the throne as King George VI. Prince Andrew has been created Duke of York, Earl of Inverness and Baron Killy-Lee. The barony is a new one, named after the town and sailing resort in County Down, where Sarah Ferguson's ancestors come from and to which the Prince and Sarah went during their recent visit to Northern Ireland. So Sarah will go into the Abbey Miss Ferguson and come out Her Royal Highness the Duchess of York. She won't be Princess Andrew, as had been expected, and there'll be no excuse for calling the newest member of the royal family Princess Sarah or, heaven forbid, Princess Fergie.
Thousands of people are already lining the wedding route with just under 2 hours to go to the start of the pageant. Many of them camped on the pavements overnight. Police too have been out since the early hours. 2,000 of them are on duty in London today in the biggest security operation seen in Britain.
Crowds outside Westminster Abbey started their wedding party very early this morning. Some police still searching the streets, many just keeping a friendly watch. For most, it was a short, cold night, rewarded with tea or even a royal champagne breakfast. All that meant queues at the loos. A blow-dry with a hairdryer cured early damp in one TV camera to guarantee the best pictures for those with a portable set and a place near the Abbey. But some just concentrated on the romance, clutching a rose from the mystery man in the white Rolls-Royce. Walking among the crowd, earning himself kisses all along the Mall.
MPs have voted to abolish corporal punishment in Britain's state schools. The government lost a late vote in the Commons by a majority of 1. The Education Minister, Chris Patten, urged MPs to allow the final say on caning to be made by school governors. But in the end, the free vote by Tory members means that Britain now comes into line with other European countries. The Foreign Secretary, Sir Geoffrey Howe, arrived in South Africa a few minutes ago. He'll want to discuss with President P.W. Botha proposals by the recent Commonwealth mission for the release of the nationalist leader Nelson Mandela. Sir Geoffrey will also press for an early end to apartheid in exchange for the withholding of economic sanctions. China has expelled the British journalist John Burns, who was detained by the authorities last week for entering an area of the country forbidden to foreigners. The Chinese say that Burns, who writes for the New York Times, was there to carry out activities incompatible with his status. That's the diplomatic term for spying. That's it. I'll be back at 9:30 with a summary. Now it's back to Frank.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, at this moment, let me welcome viewers of the British Forces television service in Germany who are joining us and who, along with the rest of us, are now settling down to enjoy a day of celebration. Let me give you a little timetable now, because there are only 2 hours to the start of the wedding procession, and the streets along the route are already crammed with very excited people. Now, in the next hour, we'll visit Westminster Abbey, where the finishing touches to the wedding finery are underway. We'll see the Horse Guards as they leave Knightsbridge Barracks to form the spectacular Guard of Honour for the ceremonial procession. Russell, we couldn't do without him, could we? He's looking forward to the couple's happy future. And in a moment, we'll be returning to the village of Dummer, where the wedding party is now in full swing. A little later on, we'll be going live to the Falklands, where the islanders have organised a champagne celebration to mark this special day. And then at 10 o'clock, the doors of Westminster Abbey open, and the first of the 1,700 guests take their places. Just before 11, the Queen leads the royal family's procession of state carriages from Buckingham Palace. At 11:05, Prince Andrew leaves, accompanied by his supporter, Prince Edward. 10 minutes later, the bride's carriage leaves Clarence House. So you can see it's all beginning to happen. At almost the same time, the Queen leads the family procession into Westminster Abbey. Prince Andrew then takes his place, and at 11:30, the bride and her attendants arrive at the Abbey, and the ceremony is then underway. And the service is due to finish at about 12:25. Then the royal couple leave the Abbey and lead the procession of carriages back to the palace. And at about 1:20, the newlyweds are due to appear on the balcony with other members of the royal family. Then at About 3:30, we reckon, the couple will leave the palace and travel in open carriage to the Royal Hospital, Chelsea, at the start of their honeymoon journey, we think, to the Azores. Well, that's the timetable. Our cameras, of course, will capture every moment of all that, bringing you the colour and the atmosphere of this very special occasion. So to get into the party mood, we're going to rejoin Val Singleton and John Stapleton there in the middle of the festivities at Sarah Ferguson's home village of Dummer. Good morning again.
Listening to the boys and girls of the Trinity Youth Band from Basingstoke, just up the road from here, and they're of course here to play their musical tribute to the royal couple. The boys and girls of the Trinity Youth Band from Basingstoke. Well, in just a minute, we'll be going up, up and away with this marvellous man in his fantastic balloon. But in the meantime, Val.
Thank you, John. Well, with me now, I have Kate and Barry Dodd and William and Queenie Bone. Hello, good morning to you all. Kate, your parents have actually gone to the wedding, haven't they?
Yes, they've left this morning and
We
they're on their way.
Talked to them earlier, so you're going to get a first-hand account tonight.
When they get back tonight, we'll be very, very interested to see what they've seen.
Very exciting. Are you going to catch a glimpse of them in the church?
We hope to, yes, we'll be back.
Now, Barry, you actually work on the farm, don't you? That's right. And organised, I believe, a rather spectacular present for Sarah and Andy. Tell me about that.
We bought them a silver salver from the staff of Dummer Farms. So I actually have a picture of it.
Can I have a look? Oh, that's beautiful. That's that way out. Now, it's a bit small to see the writing. What's actually inscribed in the middle?
It says to Sarah and His Royal Highness Prince Andrew on the occasion of their marriage from the staff of Dummerdown Farm.
So how many people was that? How many staff?
I don't know altogether. It was both the ones there now and in the past.
So that would have included Heather, Mr. Heather, whom we talked to earlier.
That's right. That's right.
Now, when did you actually give them this?
We gave them to it on the evening of the garden party, Friday evening, and we met them both.
That's when everyone in the village was invited to meet them, to meet Andrew, really,
Yes,
wasn't it?
That's
to meet
right,
Andrew,
yeah.
because we all knew Sarah, so it was
Yes,
marvellous.
because you played with her, didn't you, as a school? You used to go riding with her.
Yes, yes. I mean, her mother taught us to ride and to swim, and it was, you know, we were part of the family, really. It was a lovely childhood. We were very, very happy there, and it's a marvellous thing to look back on now. I mean, we just didn't realise at that time she would be a princess.
I bet not.
She hasn't altered a bit, has she?
No, she's
She
marvellous.
was the same at the party as I remember her, you know.
So tell me about the party. That was for everyone in the village to meet him, wasn't it?
Yes.
Did you get to talk to him?
Very, very briefly. We were obviously introduced, and we shook his hand, and it was a marvellous occasion. There
What
were
did he
so many
say?
people to get round. It was difficult.
What did he say?
He wanted to know whether she'd driven a tractor over her.
Oh, what did you say to me just a few minutes before? You said the village of Dummer will never be the same again, didn't you?
Well, that's right. This media have moved in, and I just wonder what it'll be like in a week's time.
I think you
Be
might
very
find it'll be
flat.
rather quiet in a week.
A bit different.
Mr. and Mrs. Bone, you've lived in the village for years and years. Can I ask you, is this a very special day for the village of Dummer?
Pardon?
A very special day for the village of
It is a
Dummer?
very special day, and I'm loving every minute. It's great.
How did you meet the Ferguson family?
Well, we did a little bit of seasonal work. Brussels spray sorting, you know. Barry knows all about that. And we had a great lot of fun up there, didn't we, really?
And you knew Mrs. Barantes, didn't you? Sarah's
yes, Yes, she's a very, very nice person. She's very lovely.
mother. Did you like Sarah? Did you see her much?
No, I saw her once or twice on the horses, you know, when she was young. But we did see her at the fete Saturday, and that was great, and Prince Andrew.
Can I ask you what you're looking forward to today?
Oh, I'm looking forward to all the lot of it, every one of it.
Well, it'll happen very soon now.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much indeed. Let's go back and find what John is doing with that hot air balloon. John.
Well, that's something else. That's something else for the people of Dummer to look forward to, because with the help of Tony Kershaw here, we're going to extend the greetings of Dummer to the rest of Hampshire, because he, in just a moment, is going to go up in this fantastic balloon. It's a tethered flight today, Tony, isn't it? Could you explain why?
Well, would you like to hang on the other side of the basket and you'll find out why. It's getting far too windy. It's 15 knots on the surface and gusting, so it's not possible actually to take off and fly. Otherwise, I would just gift wrap those trees over there, OK?
I understand precisely. A lot of preparation involved in all this.
Yes, but lots of lovely helpers to do it, you know, no problem.
Some of the Red Devils who were with us earlier.
Yes, indeed.
You've got to fire it up. Just explain how you do fire it up.
Well, do you want me to show you?
Yeah, go on. Right, and that is propane gas.
That's propane, yes. Burning at something like 15 million BTUs.
Right, well, we wish you well. On your way, you've got to put your helmet on, haven't you?
Yeah.
Right.
And I've got to put a silly camera on my head. Hang on.
And a camera on your head to take some
pictures of you when I'm up there.
Right, well, all the very best. Thanks very much indeed for coming to help us. And off you go.
OK, 4 on only, please.
Right.
Give me hands off.
And hands off. And away you go. 74 feet tall, this balloon, as it leaves this field here in Dummer to fly high above the village and extend the greetings of Dummer to the rest of Hampshire. There we go. Greetings from Dummer. And loud cheers from those villagers who are here with us in the field. Lovely. Val.
I went up one of those once. It was very exciting. Well, obviously today, as you can see, everybody's getting into the atmosphere. It's only an hour to go now, and obviously it's a really special day for the village of Dummer. But what about the Fergusons themselves? How are they coping with the excitement of having a future princess in the family? Selina has been finding out just what's going to be in store for them.
Dummer in Hampshire, one of the most closely inspected villages in Britain. Its Doomsday Book church has been filmed by camera crews from all over the world. Its thatched cottages and leafy lanes have appeared on television sets from Hong Kong to Montevideo. And for the family who live in the big house at the end of the drive, it's meant the overwhelming attention of the world's press, all because their daughter announced she was going to marry a prince. For Sarah Ferguson's stepmother Sue and sister Jane, it's been a relentless barrage of inquiry.
Everybody wanted photographs, and I spent my entire day long just going through albums of photographs and then asking Sarah if it was possible for anyone to see that photograph of when she was 2 years old or whatever, and getting permission. And that took an awful lot of time, going through all the albums. But that stage is over. Then it came to the stage of television interviews and radio interviews. And it's just gone in different phases, really. But it's all very time-consuming. And in fact, I've had to employ 3 different people to sort of help me, because I just couldn't do it on my own.
The same sort of thing has happened in Australia, like the telephone just never stops. And I do have a small baby too, and quite often you get caught changing nappies.
I didn't realise anything would be anything like it has been. No way. I mean, I had no idea at all.
That's why I think we admire Sarah so much, is because until you go through it yourself, I don't think you appreciate what Sarah has been through. I mean, it's just can be horrific.
Were you surprised that the interest in Sarah's engagement to Prince Andrew, did that come as a surprise to you?
Yes, I think it did. I didn't expect it would be as great as it has been. I mean, every day there's just new things written about her, and I mean, the interest is enormous.
In fact, there's enormous interest in all things Ferguson, including Seamus, Sarah's nephew, who's now a celebrity on Australian television. Even the Major's polo ponies are celebrities. They're probably the most filmed horses in Britain. Polo, the major sport, outstrips even snooker these days in Fleet Street's eyes and puts this aristocratic sport top of the gossip columns. For the bride's father, the concern for a daughter about to be married in full view of hundreds of millions of curious people.
Well, I think it'd be a very surprising bride who wasn't prone to a certain amount of anxiety and pre-wedding nerves, whether you're being married in a local village church, a city cathedral, Westminster Abbey, all the thousands of people and all the television interest, although you're not going to appreciate the 720 million or whatever the figures are behind the cameras. I don't think there'll be a bride in existence would be able to just not have a few anxious moments and a few nerves. I don't think she'll be any different to anybody else. But the great thing about it, as every other bride, is she is determined to enjoy every single moment of it.
For Sarah, this enormous level of interest will now continue for the rest of her life as she joins the most talked-about family in the world. But from those she leaves behind in Dummer, there's a fond hope for a quieter future.
Well, I think for us it's a one summer moment that it's not going to be with us this time next year. Everything would have gone back to normal.
You think it will go back to normal?
I'm sure it will, yes.
But everything you do and everything your family does will be in the public eye because you are in some way related to Sarah.
I think they'll have forgotten. I'm sure they won't connect the two at all after that.
Is that a wish rather
Yeah,
than...
I think in one way it's a wish, and the other way I think it's just human nature. I think everyone will forget very quickly.
Well, of course, this is the day we've all been waiting for. Everyone's here at the end of the Mall, waiting to see the procession. I've managed to keep a hold of Tony Holden, because I wanted to ask him something. Why did you get it wrong? You predicted.
You have to take risks in this business, you know. I mean, it's quite clear the Queen's only done it because I said she wasn't going to.
You better tell everyone what the Queen has only gone and done.
Well, it's been announced, we're told, that they will become the Duke and Duchess of York as of the moment they're married, is that right? Mm-hmm. Which, of course, is a very historic thing, associated with second sons particularly, two of whom have become kings in this century. But the thing that nobody's actually said about it, which is interesting and touching today, is that the Queen Mother is, of course, herself at the moment Duchess of York, and the title is very much associated with her husband, the Queen's late father, King George VI.
So what happens to that title?
So I imagine
with her?
she becomes Dowager Duchess at the moment of the wedding. But it's a very touching occasion for her, particularly, to remember her husband.
You felt at the beginning that this wouldn't happen. You thought she would not give that title just now to
I
her
was
son.
led to believe, as they say in these circles, that the Queen might let Prince Andrew establish himself a bit more in public life before she gave him this title, because it has such a strong family resonance. But it's one of those things where it's very nice to be proved wrong, Selina, especially by you.
Let's hear what everyone else thinks. The Duke and Duchess of York, a good title to give to the second son?
Yes, I think so.
You're from Germany?
Yes, I'm from Germany, from Berlin.
You're the ladies who came over, you won a competition.
We won a competition,
yes.
And of course we were very much looking forward to spending a week here. And now we are even more excited having the opportunity to see everybody.
You like our royal family? Well, of course, they're half your royal family in a way,
Yes,
with the connections.
Yes, because I was living 6 years in England and I like them very much.
Right.
Yes.
I'll leave you to it for the moment. I wanted to just say hello to some little girls who've been up since when?
6:30.
6:30.
Yeah, we got here at 7:30.
What are you wanting to see most of all?
Bride. Yeah, first bride.
What do you think of her?
I think she's lovely. She's really nice. Saw her last night on telly. She's really impressed.
What kind of dress do you think she's going to be wearing?
All lace and white. All lovely. Really nice. Silk. Yeah. Silk, I think.
Well, have you got a good view? I mean, a good position to see her?
Yeah, we're standing right over there.
Someone's looking after your spot right now?
Yeah.
That's good. Well, have a lovely day. And don't get too cold. Have you got an umbrella anywhere?
No, we've got Google.
A Google, everything organised. It's lovely to see you.
Hello, Siri.
Hello. I've been looking at you now for some time. You've been having
We've been here since 8 o'clock last night, and what a great night we had last night. Really, it was fantastic. And I've met the Duke of Edinburgh last year.
You met the Duke of Edinburgh?
I shook hands with him and spoke to him, and I felt so proud, and I won't ever forget it, ever. He's so lovely. Really a lovely day.
And you? You've been here for a while
I've been
too?
here since about 7:30.
What about you?
6 o'clock.
Are you enjoying yourselves? Well, where did the hats come from?
Made ourselves, yeah.
It's really good. Just have a look at the top of it. Oh, it's super. And now I hear you're going to have a song. You've got a song you can both. What are you going to sing?
Are we ready?
Yes.
Right.
Ready?
2, 3, 4. He's getting married in the morning. Ding dong, the bells are gonna chime. Ring out the woman. Let's have a walk back. Get me to the church on time. He's getting married in the morning.
Well, that and the choirs of Westminster Abbey and the Chapel Royal, what more could you want this morning? There is going to be just a Duke of York for 2 hours. The title is gazetted, as the official word goes, at 10 o'clock, not at the marriage. So for 2 hours, there'll just be a Duke of York, and assuming that Sarah Ferguson turns up at the church on time, there'll then be a Duchess of York by midday. It's the one procession, incidentally, that the people at Westminster Abbey have said maybe a bit late. They've always said that it's the bride's day, and they've always said it's tradition that a bride can be a little bit late. Everybody else is expected to be punctual, because if they're not punctual, there's the most terrible collision outside the west door here, or indeed in the Abbey itself, as processions set off at the wrong moment. It's all been impeccably timed. I've seen some of the workings of it. And at the moment, all over London, people are getting ready to take their place in those processions. The Knightsbridge Barracks, which we've seen, down at the Royal Mews, where all the carriages are, they've been up since 3 o'clock this morning. They were mucking out the stables at 4. They exercised the horses before they put them into the carriages. So they're getting ready. The choirs and the musicians are getting ready. The wedding guests, we've seen one or two. Everyone that appears gets a terrific cheer here. In fact, anything that moves gets cheered out here at the moment. But they're all ready and on their way here for the opening of the Abbey doors at 10 o'clock. But let's now just have a look inside the Abbey, which is where the service will be taking place. A first look in the Abbey, looking into the choir, and you just begin to get a feeling of the scale of decoration that Sarah Ferguson's had done here. 40 people have been at work, the most wonderful array of flowers, of roses, white roses and lilac, and the delicious smell, lilies, all sorts of flowers, all the way up the choir, down the pillars and over the high altar. And the first officials just inside the Abbey checking things, the choir and a pair of stools there that they'll kneel on to take the vows. Simon Preston getting his organ not tuned up. He's just starting to play the incidental music that they'll play from 10 o'clock. Just a flourish for us, that. But it is tuned. They were tuning it yesterday morning. The chandeliers lit already, the blue carpet down, but still covered with plastic, which it is until the very last moment, until the Queen arrives, because it picks up the dirt easily, and the last thing they do is go around cleaning it. That's the nave of the Abbey, where a lot of the friends of the bride and groom will stay. A very splendid sight. And I'll be talking at 9:30 to Pam McNichol, who was in charge of arranging all these flowers and in charge of the 40 people who did it. We'll be talking to her. In the meantime, the dress is the other thing that is occupying everybody today. Everybody wants to know what it's going to be like. What we do know is that once it's officially been seen, people in East London are not going to have much time to watch the television, because their job is to copy that dress and get it out as soon as possible onto the streets for brides whose weddings have yet to come. Let's go down and see what happens with Penny Buston.
Good morning, David. Thank you very much indeed. In the interview that Sarah gave on television last night, she would only give very broad hints about the dress. All that she would say was that it was incredible and there'd never be another one to match it. Well, that's quite like a red rag to a bull to people in the bridal wear industry, and they've taken up the challenge here in the East End of London in Bow. By 5 o'clock this evening, they reckon they'll have a copy of that dress in Oxford Street store. Now, the person who's really taken up the challenge is the chief designer here, Rose Joseph. How are you prepared? What will you do?
Well, first of all, I shall watch Sarah coming out of Clarence House, and after that, I'll wait and watch television until she gets out of the coach, and then I'll start sketching the dress.
And how long will that take?
Well, it shouldn't take very long, about 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
I see that you've got a book of
Yes.
designs here. Is that what you've been practicing on?
Well, not practicing, been making.
What, and there are quite a few different sorts of designs in there.
Yes, yes.
Have you got any idea at all what they're going to be like?
Not really. I did say to start with at one time that she would have something sleek, but on watching television last night, she did someone let slip that it was going to be quite, quite a full dress.
You've got some material behind you there, and I see some beading there.
Yes.
Now, Linka Kira, the designer, is well noted for the fine beadwork on her designs. Is that difficult to work with?
No, not difficult at all. We're quite used to this. All sorts of beading.
But is that an expensive item?
Yes, beading is very expensive because this is all hand embroidered, hand beaded.
So, because I understand that silk is traditional for royal wedding dresses, and with the beading as well, will it be difficult to reproduce a version that will suit everybody's pocket?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it will be difficult.
We've got some of your designs behind us here. Tell me about these.
This is quite an expensive dress because of all the beading on it. This is a cheaper version, also a very popular dress, but it's a cheapish dress that we've made dozens of.
Now, we don't see the dress until about 11:15. What sort of time scale are you working to?
Well, I can't say. I mean, I've got to see the dress first before I can tell how long it's going to take.
But do you think that she will have made it difficult for you? Do you think that it will be a very exclusive?
Well, all the papers say that she's made it very difficult. So, just hope for the best.
You're quite prepared to have a go then?
Yes, of course.
Now, you've been dressing brides for about 30 years now. If you'd had to dress Sarah, what would you advise her to go for?
Well, I thought maybe something slim in the front, and maybe a very long train and full at the back.
And what about her hair? I mean, what would you've seen that with a low neckline?
Yes, well, she usually wears a low neckline. It's either a V neckline or off the shoulder or something. I don't think the wedding dress will be off the shoulder. I'm sure it won't.
Well, you've got a very busy day ahead of you. All power to your pinking shears. Somebody that's already been hard at work is John Stapleton, who's down in Dummer. John.